Welcome to 40 Born, the Limited Lorcana podcast, where a gaming veteran
and a gaming novice
explore all things Lorcana. With a focus on limited formats, we cover set reviews, strategy guides, and stuff that nobody asked for.
Let's get digesting. I need to digest this chimichanga I ate for lunch, dude. I'm unwell.
Yeah, it's hitting you pretty hard.
You made me record immediately after lunch, and I ate a chimichanga. A mini chimichanga.
Well, it's like a fried burrito, you know? It's a double whammy.
I feel like two of me.
In a bad way?
In the worst way. I think one of me is enough for anything.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. Two is too many. Well, we today we're talking about CABS.
Yes.
We haven't spoken at all about what this episode's about.
CABS, though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, CABS is the next acronym we're going to talk about. You know, here at 40 Born, we love an acronym.
We love acronyms.
This is tool time. We're talking about CABS, C-A-B-S. It is cards that affect the board state. It is a principle that's like a basic fundamental concept in Limited, and we hope that it will help you win drafts and sealed events. But before we dive into that, we have a little life update.
Your life.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Our life.
It's collectively. It's the entire 40 Born community's baby.
Right.
We went to the doctor, and we found out that the baby... I almost just said her name. The baby is
I don't
Breach.
even know the name.
Yeah, nobody knows the name except for me and Skylar.
Wow.
Oh, we settled on a name.
That's another update.
Yeah, that's a pretty minor one.
Name is... Okay. All right. We'll get him.
She's currently Breach, which means she's sitting right side up instead of upside down.
Yeah.
I didn't know this, but normally babies ride upside down for like a month before they're born.
You knew
in
that.
preparation to dive.
You knew that. They come out head first.
Yeah, but I thought it was a last minute thing.
Oh.
Like I didn't realize that it was like they'll
They do it for a while.
Yeah, for sure. So, well, ours is not. Like 3 to 4% of babies are right side up, which is the wrong. Wait.
Right is wrong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's footling, which means her feet are dangling beneath her. So it's kind of dangerous. If Sky went into labor right now, it would be kind of dangerous for her and for the baby.
Yeah.
So they're going to do a C-section, which will be on June 24th.
You have the date.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So her birthday will be June 24th. And when the next episode comes out, the one we record after this, that will be the day after the baby is born.
Yes.
So, send prayers, vibes, whatever our way on
Whatever you
the
got,
24th.
send
Yes.
them.
We'll take anything and everything, except for advice. We don't really want any of that right now.
Don't give advice.
We've got enough.
Save that.
But yeah, so we have a date. It was a little disorienting, a little scary to
Yeah.
find out that the baby's, it's not that she's unhealthy, and Sky is also totally healthy. Mm-hmm. But you sort of go down, you think it's going to be this one way, and then you find out last minute you have to pivot. So it is what it is.
Yeah, changes in plans.
We can't complain. She'll just, both options are really brutal on the mom and on the baby. So
Sure.
Thankfully we live at a time where they could, catch this sooner rather than later and schedule it. So we got to pick our doctor, got to pick the time.
Those parts are nice.
Yeah, scheduling your baby being delivered is kind of a wild concept.
That is weird, yeah. It's like, what do you got going on Tuesday?
I was like, well,
you have a baby?
I'm a little busy on Tuesday, but maybe if we do it at 3.
What's that?
So Monday, I will become a father if everything goes well, Lord willing. Tuesday, I think we have to be at the hospital for a few days. So
probably.
I don't know when I'll be home. I don't know when anything will be shared with anyone. Sorry, but when the baby comes, you might not hear from me for a while. The Discord might be a little silent. I'm sure Taylor will generate plenty of engaging content in that.
Yeah, I'm always in there. Just saying stuff.
Yeah, and honestly, we have no plans for once the baby comes for the podcast. We will, Taylor will tweet stuff out. The episode, we might do a weekly episode. We might do it every other week. Who knows? We'll see.
Life may change slightly.
Yeah, life comes at you fast, and if we might just have to take a break for a bit. But
yeah, but we're gonna do our best.
Yeah. We're going to do our best, and that's all we can ask for.
Some things are bigger than Lorcana.
Yeah.
Babies. They're smaller technically, but...
Yeah. Well, she weighs 7 pounds right now.
Is that normal?
It's 54th percentile, so I think it's
like
about as
dead
normal.
on.
Yeah, about
Yeah.
as normal as you can get.
Nice. You're gonna have the most normal baby ever.
I was 10 pounds and 10 ounces when I was born. Dude,
Your poor mother, dude.
I was a chonker. Maybe I can find a photo. There's photos of my brother holding me when I was a baby, and he's 3 years older than me, and I was like his size already. I was a thickeroni for sure.
You're holding him.
Yeah. I have him pinned. Okay, well, that's the life update. So
Yeah, nice.
I'm excited. I'm nervous. Honestly, feeling a little overwhelmed, but
Obviously natural.
yeah, feeling better today. I think that chimichanga has me centered and settled right now.
Yeah, got somebody centered, dude. I couldn't be less centered.
Yeah, so we'll talk about CABS, give a little bit of homework, and then at the end, we actually have our first strongly worded email
Oh, yeah.
that we have to unpack.
I can't wait to get to that.
Yep. Okay,
Exciting.
so
Stick around.
you know, here at 40 Born, we love an acronym. We've talked about bread. We've talked about keto, RESPECT. Acronyms are good. They help us remember things.
Yeah.
Today, we're talking about CABS.
Mm-hmm.
CABS, this concept comes from Marshall Sutcliffe. Actually, I don't know if he invented it, but that's where I've heard of this from.
Yeah.
Marshall Sutcliffe in a blog post on, I think it was Channel Fireball. I don't know. On one of his blog posts and also on his podcast called Limited Resources, talks about this concept within the context of draft and sealed for Magic the Gathering.
Yes.
So we've sort of repurposed that concept because much of it is still applicable here.
Yeah.
So before we dive into CABS and what exactly it means, just like a bit of an example that might help us understand why we're talking about this, because CABS is cards that affect the board state.
Right.
So we're encouraging you to pick 40 cards that affect the board state.
Yes.
We'll unpack that statement more. But why are we talking about that? Well, you know, I play drums.
Yes.
And I've been playing since middle school. And when I first started out how to play, I wanted to learn how to play fast and go crazy and hit all of the drums and be loud and all that fun stuff.
The fun parts, yeah.
Yeah. But before you can do that, like when you take lessons, the first thing they do is they sit you down and you don't even sit at the drum kit. You just sit with 2 sticks and a piece of plastic in front of you called a practice pad.
Yeah.
And you just hit that.
So lame.
You know, you just learn how to follow a metronome. You know, they play a metronome that dings and you have to hit drums in time with it.
Yep.
You learn rudiments, which are like basic stick sequences so that you can coordinate your hands better.
Okay.
So a paradiddle is an example. It's like right, left, left, left. That's not too exciting. But things like that are rudiments. They're the basics. It's
The
like
fundamentals.
yes, the fundamentals. And then once you have that down, they'll sit you down at a drum set and teach you how to apply what you just have been practicing for a month or two
Yes.
onto the actual drum set.
Uh-huh.
Because if you learn the fundamentals and then sit down at the drum kit, it makes it a lot easier to learn how to play fast, how to play in time with a band, how to hit all of the drums in cool ways. Most of the drum fills that you hear are just rudiments that are moved around the drum kit.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So we learn those basics, and once you've mastered them, it's a lot easier to level up.
Right.
So CABS is that. So CABS is the basics, the rudiments of Limited.
Okay.
Because once you know how to build and pilot a CABS deck, then you can get creative. You can try to build a healing deck with Grand Pabby, or you can try to build a Strength Matters deck with Snuggly Duckling, and then you can still win the draft. You can still perform well. But before you have to do those things, you have to understand how to do the basic things.
Right.
It's like with jazz. Before you break the rules, you have to learn what the rules are in the first place.
I don't understand jazz.
Well, you don't know the rules. That's why.
Yeah.
Did you ever play an instrument?
I played the baritone for a little bit, and I remember watching, you know that movie Tubby the Tuba?
No.
Okay, well, I was playing that one time. How much time do we have? This is like kind of a long story.
Yeah, I mean,
All right, I was
you can
laying on
cut
my
it.
living room floor and I was playing the baritone. I was practicing laying down.
Why?
I just was, I don't know, I was more comfortable. And I was watching Tub of the Tuba and the spit valve, all the spit
Oh,
came into my mouth.
that's brutal.
And I
You quit?
quit. I quit the next day. I was like, I don't want to
is
do this anymore.
Revolting.
Also, what was I doing playing the baritone? Here's what happened. I want to play drums, and they're like, "Do you know how to play the piano?" And I was like, "No." They're like, "You can't play the drums." That was it. It was a hard no. I was like, "Just give me the
wild.
plastic thing,
Yeah.
so I can practice." So, yeah. So no, I never played an instrument. I don't understand jazz. I love jazz. I just don't get it.
Okay.
But
Well,
I like it.
yeah. Well, that was an interesting story.
So cabs.
So, the concept of, learning the basics and then getting better, that's true for most skills.
Anything,
Like
yeah.
sports as well. You learn dribbling drills so that on the court, dribbling is just kind of second nature.
Right.
With this, you learn cabs because then it sort of just becomes second nature, and you know how to build a deck, like a good core, like of your 40 cards, 30 cards of your deck will be like the core, like just meat and potatoes of your deck, and then you can splash some fun stuff in those last 10 cards.
There we go.
So, but to splash the fun stuff, you have to first learn
You
how
have to understand the core.
Yeah, how do you build a deck that wins games of Limited? So that's why we're talking about cabs.
Nice.
So cabs is a concept of card evaluation that will help you learn the fundamentals of Limited.
Get cabs, win limited.
Amen. Okay, so CAB stands for cards that affect the board state. So first, before we talk about what the board state is, let's just refresh on what the game state is. Do you remember from the quadrant theory? We talked about game state.
Yes, you're either winning, you're losing, or you're the one that's
Parity.
parity. Yeah.
And there's one more.
And the other one is, what's the other one?
At the beginning of the game. Development.
Development. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's
Probably shouldn't forget that part.
those are four parts or phases of the game.
Game state, yeah.
But the game state is just a snapshot of the game in that moment.
Right.
So how much lore do you have? How much lore does your opponent have? How many cards do you have? How many characters are on the board? Locations. Everything that's in one instance. If somebody took a picture of the table, that is the game state.
One moment in time.
Yes. So the quadrant theory takes each of those snapshots and sort of puts them into buckets. Development, ahead, behind, parity.
Right.
Board state is a little bit different. Now, these are both sort of vague concepts, so you might hear conflicting information, but for the sake of this conversation, we're not going to try to split hairs here. We're just going to say the board state is stuff that's on the board.
What does the board look like?
Yeah. So characters, items, locations, that's the board state.
Yes.
Cards in hand, lore totals, cards in your inkwell, that is not the board state.
Right.
I know your inkwell is technically on the board, but it's not in play on the board, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like a resource pool.
I'm
that
not
you would
affecting
collect.
your inkwell.
Yes. Well, not yet. Maybe we will see.
One day.
We might see ink destruction in the future, but I hope not. That
Yeah.
would be. It's one of the most toxic things you can do in Magic. If you think Bucky destroying your hand is bad, imagine if Bucky could target your inkwell.
You just wait.
That would be terrible.
They should put it on Bucky again.
No. Yeah, fear the squirrel. So, any questions so far?
No, that all makes sense to me. Game state is a snapshot of how the game is going. Board state is literally just the cards on the table.
Yeah.
Right.
So when we talk about cabs, there's primarily 3 buckets of cards that fit into the framework of cabs, which is characters, removal, and combat tricks.
Okay.
So you know what a character is.
Yes.
And you know what removal is.
Yeah, those two I got.
And then combat tricks are cards like reduce a character's strength by 2.
Okay.
That's a combat trick.
Yes.
Why do we include that? Because it impacts the board state.
Right.
It allows me to make favorable trades with my characters.
Yes.
Really, combat trick is sort of a bucket here that includes anything that increases or decreases a character's strength or willpower.
Yes.
So, direct damage is removal. It also, it's impacting the state of the board. The location Hidden Cove, where you can, if a character's area has +1 strength and +1 willpower, that counts as CABS because
Okay.
that is impacting the board state.
Right.
But what is not CABS? So cards that just draw cards,
Yep.
like Friends on the Other Side. That is a good card, right? But it doesn't impact the board state.
Right,
It just allows you to draw cards.
Yeah.
Most items are not CABS, and most locations are not CABS. I just shared an example of one that is. But to know if an item or a location falls into the category of CABS, you have to ask yourself, does this impact the characters that are on the board?
Right.
So vanilla locations don't count because they just gain lore. They have no other impact.
Yeah.
So things that exclusively gain lore or lose lore, that doesn't count. So if there's a
Yes.
card that's like pay 2 ink and you gain 2 lore, that's not CABS.
Right.
Putting that on a location doesn't suddenly make it CABS. It's still the same thing. You're
Yep.
paying ink and you're just gaining lore.
Yeah.
But locations that impact the board state, like Hidden Cove, because I can put characters there and they now have higher strength and higher willpower, that is CABS.
Because now they have the ability to affect the board state. Yes.
Anything that can affect the board state. So another example, Popsicle. That's not CABS. It is a good card. You play it, you draw a card, and then later you can heal something. But it doesn't impact the board state.
Yes.
You picking up what I'm putting down?
I am.
Snuggly Duckling. That is not CABS. Even though I like that card, it doesn't count.
Yes.
Because when you play it, it has no impact on the board. When you move characters there, it has no impact on the board. It only impacts lore.
Yes.
So does not count as CABS.
It all makes sense.
Okay, so that's the framework. The idea is you build a 40 card deck, and every one of the cards has to fall into the bucket of a character, a removal card, or a combat trick.
All right. Fun.
You are you clear on what a combat trick is?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm
No,
saying
that's
that
very clear. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
anything that increases or decreases a character's strength or willpower.
Yep.
Yep.
Simple.
Cool. So you might include healing. So maybe you could argue that Popsicle counts because it's healing. I haven't thought too much about healing, honestly. I would say this. A card that only heals, like an action that you just play it and it heals a character, I would say that doesn't count as CABS. But a card, like a character that comes into play and heals another character, I would say that counts.
Yeah, because you need to change the board state in order to do that healing.
Yeah.
Right? Because a character is now on the board that was not there.
Yeah, so I would say just strictly healing things don't count, but maybe you could argue that Popsicle does count. I would say it probably doesn't because it's just an item, but we're getting into the weeds here a little bit.
Yeah.
In general, characters, removal, and combat tricks. That's what you're looking for.
Cool.
The trickiest thing there is combat tricks. It's a little bit loose in
That one's-
Lorcana, but
yeah.
if people have questions, hop in our Discord. I'm sure we'll be unpacking this episode
Yeah.
once it comes out. Okay, so far we've talked about CABS at a high level. Now we're going to talk about like the 10 commandments of building a CABS deck.
Okay.
Because what I want people to do with this tool is to put it into practice.
Yeah,
The
cool.
homework is going to be to follow these rules next time you draft.
Yeah.
So there's actually 7 commandments, not 10.
Okay, well that's
And these are
great.
inspired by Marshall Sutcliffe's CABS commandments for Magic. A lot of them are very similar.
okay.
Okay, so here are the CABS commandments for you. You will not have...
You made these.
Yes.
Got it.
I posted them in our Discord as well to get some conversation going, but this is where I've settled.
Yeah.
You will not have more than more than...
You will not have more than 8 uninkables in your deck.
Yes. That's the first CABS commandment.
Got it.
2, you will have a good mana curve. This will prioritize 2 to 4 ink characters, and you will avoid cards that cost more than 6 ink.
6.
Yeah, 6 is fine. Nothing over 6.
Okay, 7 and above.
Yeah.
So you want to prioritize 2 to 4.
Yep.
Avoid 7 and above.
Yes.
Got it.
You want to read the next one?
Sure. You will have at least 30 characters in your deck.
I thought about making this 35, but
Ooh.
I think 30 is fine.
At least 30.
At least 30 characters in your deck.
Okay.
You will avoid card draw spells, build around locations, lore reduction cards, do nothing items, and similar cards.
Yeah. Definitely avoid do nothing items.
Yeah. No do nothing items. No build around locations. No cards that just reduce lore. If any of these effects are attached to a character, great. If not, don't play them.
Avoid it.
You want to read the next one?
Yeah, every card in your deck will have a low setup cost. Your cards stand on their own. They don't require any gymnastics to be good.
Yeah, so characters, they just cost what's on them. But for a low setup cost, it just means, like, for example, Snuggly Duckling, you have to play it, you have to play it, and then pay to move something there. That's kind of a high setup cost.
Okay.
There's like a couple of moving pieces. The card should just be able to stand alone.
Be good on its own.
Be good on its own.
Okay.
So that's CABS. Or if it requires multiple things, they're cheap. Like Hidden Cove is an example. It costs 1 to play. It costs 1 to move something.
Okay.
That's cheap. Up next, you will have a simple, clear game plan of gaining 20 lore. No combos, no milling, just board control and gaining lore.
Okay.
Nothing flashy, nothing fancy, no weird win conditions.
Control the board, gain lore.
Yep, that's it. You want to read the last one?
Yes, the last commandment. You will prioritize efficient cards over situational cards. This means you want cards that are consistently good rather than cards that are sometimes very good, sometimes very bad. They need to be good across the board.
Yeah. So something like The Last Star on the Left or whatever it's called. The 10 ink song that draws 5.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the best card in your deck and sometimes it's unplayable. Don't play those.
Yeah.
Right? Because you want, like, or even something like the Mob Song. Sometimes it's incredible, sometimes you can't play it. So we avoid high cost uninkable cards and CABS because you need your cards to stand on their own, and those do not.
They got to be good regardless of the situation.
Yes. So those are the commandments. I'm going to read through them one more time. We will probably write them and like put them on the screen for the YouTube. And if you're just listening, hop in our Discord. You'll see them there, and we'll probably tweet them as well.
Yeah.
But here are the CABS commandments. You will not have more than 8 uninkables in your deck. You will have a good mana curve. This will prioritize the 2 to 14 characters. You will avoid 7 drops. You will have at least 30 characters in your deck. You will avoid card draw spells, build around locations, lore reduction cards, do nothing items, and the like. Every card in your deck will have a low setup cost. Your cards stand on their own. They don't require any gymnastics to be good. Number 6. You will have a simple, clear game plan of gaining 20 lore. No milling, no combos, just board control and gaining lore. And then lastly, you will prioritize efficient cards over situational cards. This means that you want cards that are consistently good rather than cards that are sometimes very good but sometimes very bad. You got it.
Boom. CABS. I think this is like my kind of jam.
Yeah, the rules and you just do it.
Yeah. I'm all about CABS.
Yeah. And then
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Stupid. Yeah. This was for me. This was written for me.
So your homework, in an ideal world, you would be able to draft frequently, right? So then I would say something along the lines of, for your next 10 drafts or your next 10 sealed events, just strictly follow the CABS commandments.
Yeah.
Don't branch out. Don't do anything different.
Mm-hmm.
In reality, I understand that's not possible. Right. The next 10 times you draft might take us into 2026. I mean, drafting is just not happening that often.
Right, yes.
Mostly when a new set comes out.
Mm-hmm.
But next time you draft, the next couple of times you draft, I would encourage you to keep this in mind.
Yeah.
Because what's the goal of this framework? The goal of this framework is to show you the nuts and bolts of a basic, straightforward Lorcana limited deck.
Yes.
Sometimes I see images of decks. I like for people to share the decks that they build because it's helpful to see what other people pick and don't pick, and you can ask questions and gather information about what they like and don't like and what's working. The problem is sometimes people will share photos and they'll have like 10 uninkables, or they'll have only like 25 characters, and it's like, you can win games with that, but if you weren't just doing 3 rounds, I think eventually you would see the gaps in your deck.
Yeah.
Like sometimes we can be a little greedy and limited and still pull out a 3-0 because in a pot of 8 players, if I win 3 rounds, sometimes you can do that even with a bad deck.
Yeah.
The problem is that if you consistently do that over time, your win rate's not going to be as good as it would be if you just built good decks.
Yeah.
Now, you should have fun when you play.
Right.
You should build what you want. But just understand, if you find yourself, I don't have a card that I can ink, or I can't afford any of the cards in my hand, or I can't ever seem to find a 2-drop on turn 2. Maybe you should step back and look at, have I drifted too far away from the fundamentals of Lorcana deck building, which is these 7 commandments.
Right. The CABS.
Yeah, CABS. So I think that's it. I mean, my encouragement to y'all is to try this out next time you draft, next time you play sealed. Try to focus on these 7 principles and share a photo of your deck.
Yeah.
Let's see what you create. Or if you have questions about specific cards, because sometimes some examples are helpful in these situations. But just as a rule of thumb, once again, characters, removal, combat tricks.
Yeah.
So, and then combat tricks are, in this situation, cards that increase or decrease the strength. Memory card is full.
So,
technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Apparently, you have to actually empty the trash after you delete the files from an SD card.
We are learning.
Slowly.
The camera was as full as I am. Just shut down. I'm about to. Couldn't do it anymore.
Deactivated.
I get it.
Okay. That's CABS.
That's CABS. We were wrapped up.
We were so close to being wrapped up. I don't know where it died, but I'm sure that it was super articulate and very clear.
Uh-huh. They got it.
So, to conclude, we need to go over a strongly worded email that we received.
Actually, such a kindly worded email.
Actually, yeah. Very, incredibly kind. And first of all, we need to apologize to the people of South Carolina because last episode we made some false claims, and we have to own up to that. We said that Carolina Gold Sauce is from North Carolina. That is not true.
It's not.
It's from South Carolina.
We were giving North Carolina too much credit.
Credit where credit was not due. But they do use it a lot there.
Yeah.
For the same reason they do here. It all just sort of spills over.
Right. So shouts out to South Carolina. We had, it sounds like we had a couple incorrect food takes last episode.
Yeah. We received a very actually kindly worded email.
The nicest, and I was so appreciative of this email. I laughed and I was like, you're so right. Everything you said is right. We were so wrong.
The title is just Crawfish.
Which is a great way to get us to read an email. It's like, I was immediately hooked.
Yeah, well, this is from somebody named C.
We don't want to name you unless you want to be named.
If you email us and you're cool with us saying your name,
we'll
let
shout
us
you
know
out.
that.
Yeah.
If not, we don't want to assume. So this is C, and she's from Louisiana, as she let us know.
Yep.
And if you remember, we talked about how crawfish... Well, first of all, you compared ribs to crawfish, which was just...
That's when you should have known. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, we knew that a long time ago. But related to crawfish, we said that it hurts when we eat them. We said...
My hands were burning.
Your hands burn. We said they're very difficult to eat. Would you like to read this email from C?
Yeah. I'll read it. Hey, guys. Love the podcast. Thank you. I listen all the time. I just wanted to share that as a native New Orleanian, that if your fingers are burning after you eat crawfish, either you have lots of cuts on your hands or you're eating crawfish that have been dusted with seasoning on the outside, which is just wrong.
Now, I will say, she's right.
So right.
Because when I've eaten crawfish, there's stuff on the outside.
Yeah.
And she's saying that's not right.
I think I've eaten crawfish that's... it makes sense to me if you do a little dusting on the outside, but that is wrong. We are hearing it here first, and I understand.
We hear you. We respect you.
Yes.
But you said maybe you had a bunch of cuts on your hand.
Could have been a hangnail. I don't know. It could have been... My memory could just be wrong. Yeah. I feel like when everything's when your mouth is that hot, maybe just your whole body, I was like, I'm burning everywhere. Okay, but anyways, wrong about that. Crawfish are amazing and enjoyable. You get used to peeling them effortlessly. I would love to see the day I can peel effortlessly. And the ease of peeling also depends on them being boiled properly. The seasoning and spice should be in the boil and not dusted on the outside, though. So only your mouth should be on fire if the seasoning is hot. She went on to suggest a festival, said we should make a trip down to New Orleans to go to this festival and eat incredible food. I would love to make a trip down there. Show us how to eat crawfish. We need the lesson.
Hey, April 2025, 40 Born Meetup.
We will be there peeling crawfish.
We're going to New Orleans for music and crawfish.
Effortlessly.
Yeah.
But I just laughed so hard. It was such a kind email. And I was like, please, thank you for correcting us.
Yeah.
Because I do not claim to be an expert on anything other than maybe squished hot dogs.
We're never above rebuke.
No, never.
Especially constructive criticism. We'll accept any and all constructive criticism.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry to the people of Louisiana.
Yeah. For real.
Maybe the people when I ate the crawfish, the people just didn't know what they were doing.
For sure.
She said, "Get used to ease of peeling depends on them being boiled properly." So I'm just gonna blame not myself.
It couldn't have been us.
No.
It couldn't have been me and my burning hands.
I'm over there with a fork and a knife trying to eat it.
I'm over there with bandages. Wait, what's a crayfish?
I said a crawfish.
I know, but is there a crayfish too, or is that just
I think...
the wrong way to say crawfish?
No, I think those are different.
Oh, okay.
But we call them crawdads here.
Where the crawdads sing.
Yeah, so one time my
Wait.
dad took us to...
A crawfish is a crawdad.
I don't know.
Oh.
I think so.
Okay.
Google's right here.
Okay.
Is a crawfish the same thing as a crawdad?
And a crayfish.
Crawfish, crayfish, and crawdads are the same animal. Hey.
Stop it.
Well, educational. If you learn nothing today, you learn that. But one time at summer camp in elementary school, we went to like a Christian summer camp, and my dad was like the what is it called, like the mentor or whatever for the group of like 10 me and my friends.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't like any of the stuff that they were making us do. He's like, I don't really want them to go like sit in a circle and like, you know, talk about their feelings or whatever. So he's like, we're just gonna go catch crawfish in the river. So
that'll learn them.
For summer camp, we would just go hunt
Snatch up
crawdads,
crawfish,
and you just catch them and release them. And for everyone we caught, my dad would donate $1 at the end of the week to the charity that we were fundraising.
I love that.
Yeah.
Hold on, they also call them ditch bugs? Mud bugs? Stop it. Yabbies?
The yabby has to be what they call them in Montana.
Is this my new
or
favorite
in Minnesota
animal? A bunch of yabbies, dude.
Okay, well, that's crawfish, and we're sorry.
Yeah,
See?
thank you for the feedback.
Thank you for educating us, even though it's our job to educate ourselves.
Thanks for extending your grace.
Okay, well, I think that's an episode.
Yes, we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week. I'll be a dad, and if you have any questions or you want to talk about this, hop in the Discord.
Mm-hmm.
Please go like and subscribe on YouTube. That really helps. We're trying to get those numbers going up. And we have an Instagram that we don't post on often, but we always intend to do better. And we have a Twitter where you can follow us, and we tweet dumb memes and information about episode releases.
Yep. Tell us
Neato.
if you call them mud bugs.
Yeah, what do you call crawfish where you live?
Yabbies. Yabby.
Bye, Yabbies. That's actually the name for the kid.